Maniacs, welcome back to the channel. Your local bedhead here. We are going to be diving into an interview that people have been recommending to me all day. This was posted about 8 hours ago. And this interview is for Sam and Colby. It's by a channel of the name Padilla. I want to say is how you pronounce the name. Padilla. I hope it's probably Padilla. Anthony Padilla. We're going to go ahead and dive into this. Again, go support the original video. I will only be looking at certain segments of this interview. I'm not going to watch the full thing, but I'm going to look at the certain parts where they talk about the paranormal and the things that people really probably want to hear my thoughts on. So again, go support the original video. Showed a lot of love, showed a lot of support. And it seems like they're asking some pretty interesting questions. The video is literally called, Are Sam and Colby's Paranormal Videos Fake? And this has been something a lot of people have been kind of questioning lately, specifically with their last video. I feel like their last video really kind of opened up a lot of eyes to maybe people thinking that this, hopefully, in some cases, is it scripted, right? It feels scripted. And I'm not the only one who felt that way. It was a lot of people who felt that way about the last episode specifically. And again, Sam and Colby's had a lot of controversy ever since the Conjuring series, just a lot. So let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. So let me go ahead and dive into this, give you guys my personal thoughts. Here we go with the interview. All right, so we're going to go straight to everything Sam and Colby do is fake, which I don't think that's what people are getting at. I wouldn't say everything they do is fake. I would say certain things are questionable.
People assume that everything's fake.
They do.
Yeah.
It's all fake.
It's all fake. You heard it here first.
Right.
It's all fake.
See you next episode.
See it, like and subscribe.
You're like, we're retired. This is our announcement video.
Peace, guys. But when you really look into it, most of our stuff is not necessarily like always getting some spectacle thing or whatever. It's mostly about the experience of actually doing it. So our whole thing is we'll take people to these haunted places and just document whatever we get. Yeah. Sometimes that's a lot, sometimes it's little, sometimes it's nothing. A lot of people like also make the assumption like, oh, like if you're filming all these places, sometimes it doesn't happen, like things don't happen paranormally, right? And that's true. Like we have scrapped many videos in the past because it's just stuff doesn't happen all the time.
And a lot of these shoots are like 10 to 12 hours because we shoot overnight. And so our videos are usually around like 60 to 90 minutes. And so with 10 hours of footage, obviously we're gonna put like the best parts into the hour. That's why it seems like things are going on all the time, because we edit it to be like that.
As anyone on YouTube does.
Right.
Don't want to include the super boring part.
I get where they're going with this. It was basically asking, do you fake anything? So do you add in sound effects? Do you add this? Do you add special effects? Do you have strings attached to doors when doors slam? Or do you have someone who runs around the building and does things to amp up the activity? Do you have someone standing off in the distance with a walkie-talkie making the REM pod go off? Things like that. Not really like what would make your video look fake, but like genuinely, do you fake paranormal evidence in your videos, right? That's
Sometimes we're just like waiting there for like an hour and we're like,
but there's nothing wrong with that though. I get what they're going with, like cutting out the parts that are boring. I get that. I've done it. I know. I just gotta.
well,
It's not haunted.
I guess this room is just not haunted. We gotta move on.
Do you like play games on your phone, or do you just kind of sit there?
A lot of time just have conversations with ourselves, like amongst each other. And then we have guests that come to every single video. And so we'll like talk to them. And yeah, a lot of it's just like a waiting game.
It's fun, and that's actually like one of the bigger reasons why we started like having more guests on all the time. Like we used to have like a core group, or a lot of the time it was just me and Colby, and then we saw that it was such an interesting perspective to bring people that weren't into this world and like have them experience this too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our guests, which is so funny, they come in being like, is this real? Like they don't even believe us, and sometimes they're our friends. We're like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah.
But then we have them experience it, and by the end, almost every single person that we've had on the channel like leaves being like, oh my God, wait, this is insane, or like my level of believing is so much higher than when we first started.
It's not.
And I've seen this. I've seen their videos. I've seen people's responses. I'm not really necessarily gonna blame Sam and Colby for this. Maybe they genuinely believe in the devices they're using. And maybe they believe that ghosts are really tampering with these devices. I don't know. There could always be that possibility, and maybe they feel so strongly about these devices going off that maybe in their own minds this is what a ghost is and this is what it can do. Personally, I feel like a lot of the devices can be easily tampered with and messed with. Like the flashlight method. That's a big one they like to use, the flashlight method, where they will sit there and ask questions over and over and over again until the light flashes on something, and then they kind of roll with it. And the people who are there with them, who pretty much don't know anything that's going on or what the flaws are with these devices are going to automatically start listening to Sam and Colby because of the hype that they're putting with what's going on, right? So like they're going to be feeling what they're feeling because they don't really know what's going on. So when Sam and Colby are saying this is what's happening, they're like, "Oh my God, this is nuts! Why is the flashlight doing that? Oh my God, why is the REM pod doing that?" It was perfect. Like once you said that, it went off. And the reality is, I don't really think so. I think there's a lot of devices that just are so flawed and so easily manipulated. The flashlight one again is silly. It's already been proved to be a very not so reliable tool. But again, if you put it in front of somebody who doesn't know any better, they're gonna freak out over it. And that's not their fault. That's the reality of it. So not really like bringing in people who just genuinely don't know any better. I guess that would make it easy though to kind of fool them in a sense if you were trying to fake stuff, but I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying it would make it very easy and very coincidental to have people who don't believe or just really are skeptical or just don't know any better to have them on your channel, so then you can give them, the spooks and the freaks when something does happen on one of your devices.
You can bring in guest after guest after guest and be like, we really need you guys to fake it.
Yeah.
Can you just fake, like, there's a ghost there, I swear. Just like,
Exactly.
Have you ever felt any pressure, like maybe there is a shoot or a thing that you've gone to, like, and you were, you put a lot of effort and time into something and something wasn't happening?
The good thing about the style that we do is we don't have to rely on those types of things. So if things don't happen, usually in the edit, we just rely more on the comedy and like the friend vibes and the adventure. So sometimes, like, if nothing happens, then much more of the video, which was what people see, is just us exploring or, playing games with each other, playing pranks and stuff, and it's just less about the paranormal.
People think that you
Okay, but then why scrap the stuff that you said nothing was happening on? Because you just said that, you guys have such a friendship that it would have been entertaining no matter what anyways, and there would be so much comedy there. Maybe they're talking about the guests and how the guests can really add a lot to the videos, because there have been certain episodes that they've released where it is very much heavily relied on the comedy to the point where it's, in my opinion, it sucks. Like one of their episodes, it had Carl Jacobs and a streamer named Foolish. I'm very sorry to say this. That episode, in my opinion, was almost, in my opinion, you got to understand that when I say it's my opinion, I'm the one who's saying this. I'm not saying you have to agree. I did not like that episode pretty much at all. It was just not for me. It wasn't that funny. Sam and Colby were actually the highlights of that episode because they were the ones trying to take it seriously, while these two are really not taking it seriously at all. They were just goofing off. What's the next one? They think they're better than reality TV ghost hunters.
believe that you guys are better than all of the reality TV ghost hunters.
That's
We
true.
are.
Okay, good.
Next question.
Next question. I respect that answer a lot. I think that's good. I
that
think the
bad?
confidence is key.
Does everybody think we're conceited? Do people know we're joking? No,
Yes.
we're better than everybody else, actually.
Yes, that's why you didn't see me make a big deal about it in the beginning when they said, like, it's all fake. It's like, I know they're joking. I know they're not really just blatantly saying that just to say it. Shimmied around it and just, talked about some of the criticisms they get, like, why do you guys get so much? Like, what do you do to fake it? Of course they wouldn't do that, though, if they really were doing that, right? Because that could really ruin their reputation. So, in my opinion, I don't know if I would agree with Sam and Colby. I mean, that face that Colby's making at me right now, it really makes me feel like I'm being like, he's waiting for my response. He's waiting for my response. In my opinion, are Sam and Colby the best paranormal investigators of all time? No. No, I genuinely think, like, are they great entertainers? For sure. But are they phenomenal paranormal investigators? Unfortunately, I don't think so anymore. I would just say they are entertaining, and occasionally they have a good video that comes every once in a while where you really see, like, their passion towards it. I wouldn't put them on the levels of ghost hunters when it comes to investigating. Okay, I'm actually talking about finding real evidence. When it comes to ghost hunters, like with Jason Hawes back in the day, I would say that's more of top tier because they actually put more efforts in to try to debunk everything. Occasionally, Sam and Colby would do that, but they haven't really done it a whole lot of recently, at least. But ghost hunters used to do that, like, all the time. And a lot of the stuff was explained very fast. I know a lot of people do not like Jason at the moment. I know a lot of people are saying that he's defending a scammer, but I'm not talking about that subject. I'm just talking about what I used to see on his show back in the day. And I know people are out there, oh, he became a simp for Satori and Cody. I have not defended them at all. I have only agreed with Jason on some of the things he has been talking about. I have never said that I believe Satori and Cody are legitimate. When it comes to YouTube paranormal investigators, I really got to watch more. I really do. I really need to go in and find more investigators. So far, I've seen a couple that I'm like, great. But Sam and Colby are becoming more, to me, just entertainment. And I'm beginning to view them as just entertainment. Some of the things, again, they find interesting here and there, but lately, it's been dying down for me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just going to be honest about it.
Assume that you upset malevolent spirits or otherwise by kind of filming and doing what you do around those places.
Yeah, maybe, unless they want the attention.
Unless they like it. Unless they're clout chasers.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, what's the difference between a clout chaser and a demon?
I feel weird because like I'm a reactor who reacts to their content and I post it on my channel. Is that a low-key jab? I don't know. That was probably obviously a joke.
Especially in LA, you know.
Well, you don't know. There's this pretty commonly accepted thing in the paranormal world that filming certain things will actually make stuff happen less. But there's a lot of times that we'll, be investigating and then, turn off the cameras and be like, let's go try that like one more time, just like without the cameras. And sometimes things will happen more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting? And I actually, you might find this weird to believe, but I tend to actually say the same thing. I agree with some of those aspects. I have experienced things off camera that I'm like, of course I wasn't fucking filming. Yeah, you'll come across those moments, 100%. Again, I believe in the paranormal. I truly do. I love this shit. Yeah.
One of our first experiences ever was like that, where we tried for hours and hours and hours to capture something on camera, and then we put the cameras away, and 30 minutes later, one of the crazy experiences of our lives.
I guess a follow-up to that, like, what would you say to people that might say that you're like disrespecting these places or these spirits? Or
I have said this a couple times. This is probably, let's just go ahead and say this is directly towards me. I hope it's nice.
Whatever is there.
I do think there's an element to that in the paranormal world, but we try not to do that. I just if you watch our videos, yeah, we joke around, but always at the expense of each other and or our guests, not at the expense of the place. We never want to actually disrespect the history or the spiritual energy there. We do like have fun. Like it's a fun gig to be like exploring with your friends. But all of our jokes and stuff are to each other and stuff because again, like we're not trying to disrespect anybody. And honestly, we've seen time and time and time again that the more respectful we are, usually the better the activity is.
Says the guy who kicked a Boo Bear at the Belair house and broke it. I'm not sure what they're meaning by assumption here. Because, like, it's not an assumption. I mean, these things have actually happened on camera. They have disrespected the dead. They have done that stuff. And they say it's at their own expense, but I literally, one of the ones I go back to a lot when I think of them disrespecting the dead would be making fun of a woman's portrait who was long deceased and literally saying something along the lines of, that was a woman? Ew. I swear to God. It was in the Whaley House video when they did that. Or the Conjuring series where they're dancing on top of a grave. And they're doing it to see if it will instigate something. But it's disrespecting the land and the dead. And recently, I was told, I didn't see their movie, but I was told they blew up Native American land with dynamite. I mean, that's, I would say, disrespecting. There's no getting around it. If we're talking about disrespecting the dead in general, though, like making fun of portraits, doing this, that, and these videos are not that old, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. These videos are not that old. Some of these things literally happened under a year ago. So before you say, that was a long time ago, they've grown since then. Don't. It was literally around the corner. But the Belair House stuff, I think, which happened probably about 2 years ago now. I think that was about 2 years ago. That was another big example of not really being respectful, at least to the owner. This is one of the biggest moments to where people really saw a different... There's a lot of people who actually saw Sam and Colby in a different light when they saw the Belair House stuff, which I'm not sure if they're going to talk about here, but it was an interesting thing for me to see. As a big fan of Sam and Colby at the time and to see them do that, it was... I certainly did not agree with it. And, most of the stuff that happened were really because of Seth Borden. But you can't deny that Sam and Colby, mainly Colby, I would actually throw Sam to the side. Sam really didn't have anything to do with it. Colby and Seth Borden at that house showed us a little bit of a different side and a very disrespectful, odd side. And it rubbed me the wrong way. Odd, to say the least. And then, of course, Seth Borden, he's kind of gone a bit downhill since the Blair House footage came out. But there have been quite a bit of disrespectful moments. Obviously, I don't think every moment's intentional. I can see where Sam's coming from, where they're a group of friends, they're having fun. It's hard to control yourself sometimes. I get it. I do. I'm not going to sit here and shit on them forever. I get it. When I'm hanging out with my friend and we're out, the store, we're going shopping or something, we goof around. I get it. I really do. I'm not gonna sit here and shit on them forever. But there have been moments to where it's like very obvious, like you guys could have thought about that more. Moments.
So if you have the perception of us, I challenge you to watch our videos.
Some people assume
I have. And that's why I said what I said.
that nothing scares you anymore. You've been doing this for a while. Do you still get spooked?
It depends on the place. Like each spot has its own lore and like different ghosts haunting each area. So like, believe it or not, we still do get scared. Like even this year, there's been like some locations that have been like absolutely terrifying. Like specifically, we just bought a random like school in Iowa, which is insane. But yeah, we weren't expecting that to be as crazy as it
Can I just say, they talk about ghosts as if they are Pokemon.
turned out to be. And now we're
Interesting.
horrified of our own school. So.
Nice.
It's not good. Not good.
You
But
got to go to the principal's office.
Exactly.
There's obviously a lot of horror content out in the world, a lot of it fictionalized. Does watching horror movies ever feel like work, or do you guys like watching horror movies?
It's honestly like we take notes when we watch horror movies. Like we'll be like paying attention and being like, oh, that was a cool sound effect they used. Like,
Yeah, it's like, whoa, that music is dope. We should use that.
Yeah.
It's cool. Actually, which is so sad. We hardly ever watch horror movies, though. I probably watch like maybe one horror movie a year. And if we do, it's honestly a lot of the times for research, especially if, one of our locations has a movie based on it too. We love to watch those movies and just like see, what people think of the place before we go. It's hard to like watch anything horror or any other like paranormal like YouTube video and not feel like you're like in a job.
Yeah, and plus we're not just like going to these places and then experiencing it at the actual like physical place, but when we get back, we have to edit, look up horrifying stock footage every single day for hours. So it's like we need a break from all like the scary things in our lives.
Yeah, I go home and I don't make any jokes. I never say anything funny. Some people assume that your views on religion and afterlife have changed since you started doing this.
This is interesting. I wonder when this was filmed. I'm not sure when this was filmed. Was this filmed after? I'm assuming it was probably filmed after the 3 Doll episode. This is interesting because this is literally where a lot of the controversy around Sam and Colby are right now, would be with Sam with his personal views on the afterlife and whatnot, and why he decides to make the decisions he's making, or whether or not everything at the end of that video was truly scripted. I lean more into the fact or the believability that it was probably scripted at the end of the day. I mean, that's just my opinion. Guys, my opinion. Don't sit there and quote me and fact check me as if I'm like stating facts. This is just my thoughts. Okay, we're going by my thoughts. This is what I feel. So I'm not saying you got to agree with me, but this is what I feel. It felt a little bit fake.
It's a great question because we both have very like differing views. I was born and raised Christian my entire life, and so if anything, this has like helped me with my faith like even more. Now that I've been seeing this like with my own
Robert, please. Oh, God.
eyes, and we've captured so much evidence, it like gives you hope.
It's funny, that actually was the origin story of why we got into Haunted. I really didn't believe in any like possibility.
The origin story. I'm sitting here thinking like about my origin story. Where did I begin? I lived in a supposed haunted house. I'm not sure if it was. I mean, we had some fucking freaky things happen. I mean, I'm still in the believability of the paranormal, so don't be surprised. But I still look for logic. So I think that's where I don't think it's called an origin story though. That's where my perception and my believability came from, was being in one of these houses that had some things going on that I genuinely cannot explain. And
Of there being ghosts, and I also was pretty anti-religious at a point. And one day we went to our first like real like ghost hunting place, the Queen Mary, and we had an experience so crazy that it made me, for the first time ever, say maybe I am wrong. Maybe there are things that I can't explain, and there is this other paranormal world, or there is this spiritual side of things, and it completely changed my idea and perception on spirituality and religion. And I was like, I want to do this more often. And so when the opportunity came to kind of shift our content a little bit, we're like, yeah, wait, this would be so interesting to go down this route, like push this boundary, especially because of the difference in our views, especially at the very beginning. It made it really interesting.
Some people think that one day you'll become ghosts. I guess in your experience, do you feel like there's a parameter or criteria that like maybe would make someone stay in this realm versus moving on to whatever is after?
That's a really good question. I think if we like exactly knew the answer, we'd be God.
What's the vibe?
Could be, no. But no, so everything that we've like heard from people that we've interviewed and stuff like that, will say that like a traumatic experience where a lot of emotion like is or happened, like let's say like somebody got murdered or whatever, and it was like a horrific scene, like that sort of like scars like the energy in a place, and therefore like a ghost will stay or be trapped. But again, like this is all theories, like nobody really knows.
In our
No.
experience,
At least you acknowledge that. Like, nobody really knows. Even the biggest and probably the most sufficient paranormal investigators still truly do not know. That's kind of the fun part about it, the mystery. And I think so, at least. I do want real answers, though. I don't believe, people should not have the answers. I would love to have more believable answers than watching an EMF reader go off because of electromagnetic fields, right? I would personally much more prefer the things that you can't explain, the voices that come through EVPs, those kind of things. I'm more a fan of that kind of stuff than a light show, which is what we get most of the time now with REM pods and things like that, and flashlights. And that's the biggest theory. There's so many theories about the paranormal out in the world, and you can't prove any of them. That's where the struggle is. And unfortunately, but there's so many people faking, over-exaggerating, things like that, it makes it more difficult to really try to figure out if there's really something they're trying to communicate or not. Like, I was watching the boys video the other day, and I did a reaction, and I was sitting there thinking, like, these guys are in a circle. It would be a great moment to do an EVP session where each of them ask a question to see if they can get a voice, but that never happened. They sat there and watched all of their light equipment go off, and yeah.
there is a difference between what we like to say residual energies and like intelligent energies, and the difference.
Of course, residual energy is what Colby was kind of talking about. Something that could have happened. Maybe like somebody used to love running down and up the stairs. They did it so many times that this actually continues, and continues even in the afterlife, where this energy of him running down and up the stairs will continue to go on. Or maybe like somebody hang themselves in front of a window, and maybe at night you'll hear like something fall. Things like that, things horrific like that, like residual energies. And intelligent energy is basically when if you discuss something with a spirit and the spirit actually communicates back, it's aware that you are there and it's aware that you're trying to communicate. So like that's what I'm sure they don't like being called an intelligent spirit, because it's like, of course I'm smart. What are you talking about? But yeah, that's kind of what they're getting at.
Difference between the two is, like you said, maybe a place might have an energy that stays. It might be like a place has a memory, and that memory could be replayed. That energy could be replayed. But that's not like someone still there because of a traumatic event or whatever it has. And then there are definitely times that we feel like we're talking to something intelligent.
Yeah, maybe they had like unfinished business. Maybe they felt like they had like a message they had to give to somebody living. And by the way, we are like in zero way experts at all with the paranormal field or anything.
Okay. I'll take self-acknowledgement of that. Like earlier when we were talking about, the best paranormal investigators. Oh yeah, we are. Obviously they were joking. I like this moment. I'm glad they're explaining that we are not saying we are professionals by any means. Actually, that goes a long way, because there are, again, some things I personally would wish they had mentioned more in their videos. Like, we're not saying it's paranormal, but it's interesting. That could go a long way for you guys. To say that you're not professional, I like that moment. Good on you for saying that.
Like, we are two kids with a camera, like just
Well, you're not kids. You're not kids. You're not kids.
documenting our experiences.
You have more experience than I do. I've never seen a ghost.
Maybe.
So if you guys were ghosts, then, theoretically, where would you want to haunt?
I feel like if I were to die first, That's really scary to say out loud, by the way. Please, God, no.
You know what's even scarier? No matter what, one of us is gonna die first. Isn't that sad?
That's really sad. It's gonna make
Do you
me
ever think
cry
about
on this. No. That's gonna make me cry later.
We'll think about that later.
That's really sad.
That'll be on the next episode.
Hey, yo!
But I would haunt Sam. So
I got a dark joke. I'm not going to say it because I don't think it's funny to joke about, but we're going to go ahead and think.
For the content.
the best YouTube channel ever. I'm just like slamming him up against the wall or something like that. Like,
Even in the afterlife, thinking about the content, I respect that.
exactly. I'm like, dude, I got you, man. It's all good.
A little bit more into you guys, not as ghosts, but as people.
Okay.
Let's go.
That's probably good.
Let's go.
Some people make the assumption
What's the next question? Sorry. They wish they were known on their own than as a. This could answer a question that people have a theory about, like Sam and Colby going their separate ways.
that you wish you were known maybe more like on your own and not as a duo.
Yeah, forgot. Never brought this up to you before, but I was thinking about quitting the channel this year. Because
Yeah, who would be the first to go solo? Who's the Zane? Yeah.
I'm letting you know right now.
Right now? Is this
Yeah,
the
I'm done.
conversation?
I'm done. I'm over.
This is definitely a conversation they have had beforehand. I'm sure this is definitely that. Okay. Well, a lot of people had this theory that, and I think they're serious too. I think they have actually thought about doing their own separate things and trying some different stuff. Wow, they're actually being, I feel like, more honest than I thought they were going to be. No offense to Sam and Colby. I thought they were going to try to, and they did in the beginning a little bit where the guy asked if they did fake things, and they kind of got around it a little bit, but
It just needs to be me now. We actually have our own personal channels that we posted on. I'm sorry.
What is happening right now? Are we breaking up?
Are we in a relationship?
People think so.
People assume that you kiss bi-weekly is what they're saying.
Okay,
That
so
was the most liked comment on like our community post that we did on YouTube. Of like, what assumptions do you have? It was that you guys kiss bi-weekly specifically,
well,
We
okay,
love our
so
fans.
does bi-weekly mean every other week or twice a week?
or twice a week. Yeah.
Because like one of them might be right. I just wanted the clarification. We'll see.
But yeah, so you guys have never like, I don't know, there's not that kind of like longing, I guess, or desire to maybe be known as like your own person.
I mean, again, we do have our own personal channels, like on a serious note, that like if we had that desire, we could post on those whenever we wanted to. But like we've built this empire together from the beginning. And so I like being Sam and Colby.
When we first started and we didn't really know what we wanted to do, we were trying a bunch of different types of content, and there did get a point where we would argue about like creative differences, and that's like why we separated and had the
that's a big reason why people actually say never do a channel with your best friend, because those creative differences can ruin friendships. And to see that Sam and Colby really haven't done that they haven't, destroyed their friendship over it, it says a lot about their friendship. Again, I've never questioned if they were really best friends or not, and maybe they, I think having those kind of conversations make you stronger. I've had definitely differences with my friends, and we've had arguments over it. And those moments I think about a lot as like, I'm very grateful that we've had those conversations and we've had those creative differences. So yeah, no, I mean, some channels though, it'll ruin you. It'll ruin them.
other channels so that we could have this other creative outlet, he could have his, and if we had an idea that wasn't going to mesh well with each other, it was fine because then you could just do it by yourself. Nowadays, we like found something that we both love and that brings us so much fulfillment that we don't necessarily need to be these separate.
People assume that, it's hard to have a normal friendship when
Being roommates, they've mixed up their stuff. Sam and Colby want to go back to their early exploring days. This is a big one too.
people assume that you want to go back to some of your early exploring days.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. Like I miss the exploring.
Maybe this is what I was aiming for more when I was talking about separating a little bit. I think, and no, I do think that they have thought about it a couple times. I wouldn't doubt that one bit. I'm sure that it has crossed their minds a couple times. Hey, do you want to start doing stuff on your normal channels? I'm sure it has. I'm not trying to speak for them. I'm assuming at this point. This is my assumption. I feel like they have. But now here's one that people are thinking they're really wanting to do, especially after all the controversy, is go back to their early exploring days. Will they want to do that? We'll see.
Content. Like we used to do a bunch of like urbex where we would like not break in physically to abandoned places, but find a way to sneak
Not
in.
break in if you're watching and you're a cop.
For illegal purposes,
This was
we
years
never
ago,
broke and
okay?
enter. We
Please
never broke
don't
and
arrest us. But yeah, no, I miss those like sort of adventures where we're like evading security and stuff like that, and just like getting into these spots. I miss that adrenaline.
That was something that we did as friends prior to this whole YouTube journey. The exploring stuff, that was just something we would do in our free time, no matter what, like explore abandoned places.
And in 2025, we are like planning to bring those old Sam and Colby vibes back to the main channel. So exclusive.
Yeah, wow, we have not told people
I'm
about that.
sorry that I
Cool.
just
I'm so
spilled those
glad that
beans.
we spilled the beans and we talked about that because we talk about everything.
It's because you just feel so open around it, right?
Exactly.
It's just such an inviting and warm presence.
Get excited.
People
I think it was obvious though with their last video. I think it was obvious that this is what they were planning on doing when they said they're going to discuss what the future of the channel is going to be. I think everybody was kind of thinking they're going to go back to their exploring stuff. What is the next question? They feel pigeonholed into doing well, paranormal content does a lot for them. They do get the views. I mean, I think their most popular video is paranormal related.
think that maybe you feel pigeonholed into like kind of paranormal like content. Do you ever feel that, you know, you wish you could do something maybe completely different than like, you know, the kind of stuff that you do now?
We love haunted so much, so but they're very right. We are pigeonholed. We have tried to do like other content in the past, and it just didn't do well for the channel. A lot of people enjoyed it, but like in comparison to the views, it just didn't hit as hard as the haunted. But we are so happy where we're at. Like we love what we do.
And there's a lot of different things. Like when people are like, oh, like paranormal, whatever, you're pigeonholed there. There's a big genre of things to do in that world. Like we still get to travel. We still get to, you know, we're making movies now. It's like all these cool things. Like just because it is this one genre doesn't mean there's not plenty of other things to do. And if we did have different ideas, we have like other platforms and we have our personal channels and we work on other projects outside of just this. So maybe at first we were scared of it, feeling like that. But when we really dive into it, we realize there's like such a big world for us to like adventure.
Interesting, say the least. You know, I'll say this. I'll give credit where credit's due. There were definitely moments in this interview that I was actually kind of shocked they would answer straight away and actually be honest about, which was kind of cool. I'm not saying I was expecting them to lie about everything, but at the same time, I'm also kind of somebody who wouldn't blame them if they were going to avoid certain things, and they certainly did avoid the first question a little bit. In my opinion, they did. They really kind of just started talking about like why the videos might feel fake to certain people, to a certain extent, but they really didn't answer the question like, do you guys do this, that, and this? And then I thought it was also interesting when they said that they look for sound effects. Not saying they add sound effects, but it was kind of like, well, why would you sit in a movie just to try to find sound effects and use them in your videos and things like that? It's like that can be taken in a certain way. However, there are some moments I will give them credit for. I do understand the likability about these guys. I do. I was expecting certain things, like, you know, going back to the exploring stuff. Obviously, I think everybody was kind of expecting that, so that's not too surprising there. But let me know in the comments section if I missed anything, maybe throughout the different segments, and maybe I should go back and watch them. Let me know in the comment section down below. Hit the like button to go support the original video. Of course, subscribe to their channel, subscribe to my channel, and until next time, everybody, please do take care.
If you can't stay, can't start to